Yeah.
Welcome to Red V TV, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season, where, if you're watching this when we put it out, car swap is now on. Kevin, it's 25 days to go. The days are flying. It can only mean one thing.
It can only mean it's time for our Thai Flyer, number 25, T Ritson. And T is sponsored by Autism Friendly Caravans.
Autism Friendly Caravans were set up over 10 years ago, and as they found it impossible to find holidays suitable for families who have family who are autistic. So they now have 6 family and autism friendly caravans based at Haven Carla Gran in Fleetwood, just outside Blackpool. If you feel it's something you could be doing with, autismfriendlycaravan.co.uk, and I'm sure the team there will be there to help you with all your needs and give you an enjoyable holiday. Right, Kevin, T Ritson, a man signed last season, polarised the fan base, is it fair to say at times?
Yeah, and I think that's because of the fan base. I think that's because of the fan base. I think it's because of the pressure that was put on a lad who hadn't played Super League before, and people were expecting to see Speedy Gonzalez ripping it up and scoring 40 tries in a season or whatever. Loads of flying finishes, length of the field stuff, even though it was his first season full-time.
Because they were watching videos of Whitehaven from 2022, where he was ripping it up, scoring 40 tries, running rings round blokes who'd been at work all week.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, you know what? It was. There's levels to it, and obviously the level that he was playing at in the Championship is completely different to what he's doing in Super League. He said himself, the first couple of training sessions, he went home and his body was absolutely aching. And you look at players who've come from the lower leagues and how much time it's taken for them to really break through. Alex Walmsley's probably the exception to the rule, but Joe Batchelor didn't come straight into the team. James Bentley didn't come straight into the team. So I think really quite a few people who were overexcited about him signing should have just tempered that a little. He brings pace to us, but there was also at times maybe a little bit of naivety, maybe a little bit strong of a word defensively. Rawness, that's a better word. That's a much better word. That defensively, his speed can get him out of trouble, no problem. But I don't think it's his fault at all that he was hyped up. I think it's fans getting excited because we perceived that we needed pace, and we did, and we were just pinning far too much on a bloke who was coming into the full-time environment for the very first time.
Yeah, he's undoubtedly got pace, and as I mentioned earlier, he was playing essentially against semi-pro guys who've worked full-time during the week, and he could use that pace to burn him once he was gone in the Championship. Try time. When he's in Super League, he's playing against players who might not necessarily always be as quick off the blocks physically, but they've had years of Super League experience of positioning and where to be mentally. And you can if you've had maybe so many years in the league, what you lack in pace, you can make up for in positioning. And that didn't always give T the head start that he would have. Whereas I think this year, he's had a year in that environment. He knows what it's all about. He's now had a full pre-season with the team again. And I'd like to say we weren't at our best attacking-wise last season. We had issues, didn't we, with the amount of disciplinary injuries, just the style. And I take it that the club have realised that over the off-season that we do need an injection of pace in that back line. We've gone out and got Wanga Blake. And I'm going to pin my hat on saying that T. Ritson will start on the wing for us at the start of the year. We'll have Tommy Makinson on one side and T on the other. And I think we're going to try and play a little bit more expansive and try and inject a little bit more pace in. And I think having a speedy centre inside him will help us and will help him.
Yeah. You know what? That'd be so good, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine lining up with Makinson, Percival, Blake, and Ritson as your options, moving Percy over to that right-hand side, getting Blake on the left, where it seems a lot of the highlights that we've seen of him, I know this isn't about Blake, but we've seen the highlights of him being able to set T. Ritson free. That's an exciting thing. I think it's a bold call to say T. Ritson will start, but I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. I think that, listen, sat here at the minute as we're recording, and I can hear the wind whistling outside. They're not the greatest conditions and not conducive to really fast players being able to put the hammer down and just go. But after him having another pre-season, after him getting used to his first year and settling in properly, this year could be T. Ritson's breakout year. And I will say could, because there's always the potential there. But there's the potential for improvement in him. There's the potential for a little bit of pressure off, because people are thinking, we don't expect it from him now. He's second choice after behind John Bennison or Blake. So with that little bit of pressure off him, with that little bit of, it'll just be his own pressure and the pressure that comes from within the team rather than outside. Hopefully we see more of T doing what he's doing in that bottom picture, diving over after using his pace to get away from his opposite number, getting over the try line and getting us on the front foot.
Last season I was on a little bit of a seesaw, and we discussed it frequently throughout the year. I was finishing towards the end of the year preferring Bennison to T. Ritson. But I don't feel that John Bennison is an out-and-out winger. I think he's more of a utility man who can come in across that back line. I think we need an out-and-out centre with an out-and-out fast winger on the outside of them. And I don't think it helped either player, and I want to say Bennison and Ritson last season, with that constant battle between them, and every single week it was, who do you choose, who do you not? And I don't want to be harsh on John Bennison, but I think T. Ritson needs to be told that, do you know what, you've got the first 10 games working outside of Wanga Blake to make that position and that partnership your own, and just give him that freedom and of the confidence of knowing that if you make a mistake, you're not going to necessarily be dropped the following week for John Bennison coming in. You've got to allow the lad the chance to grow. And we've obviously seen something there last season, because we've gone and extended his deal at the club for a further 2 years. So you've got to give him his wings.
Yeah. Well, you say that. I'm sure I read somewhere we've paid a transfer fee for him. So if we're paying a transfer fee for a player, you're not sending him back after his loan, then you obviously do see something in him. Once again, it could be a switch between him and Bennison throughout the year. It could just be how it goes, because John Bennison is a steady Eddie, great under the high ball, will bring the ball back in for you, same as any winger does, but will bring the ball back in for you, and you know what you're getting without the blistering pace. I think I'm sure I heard people saying they expected T. Ritson to be faster, but listen, he's as quick as anybody across that back line was last year. He was faster than the majority of our team last year. And I think you're right with us putting our faith in him in the 2-year deal and paying if we have paid a fee for him, I don't know if I'm misremembering that, then we're obviously going to give him a chance, aren't we, first team wise?
Yeah. I'm just reading Paul Whelan's comments to Mike Critchley in the St. Helens Star after we confirmed his signing. And he basically said there's not many players in the league who can move like T, and that will give him plenty of opportunities to be able to showcase that this year. he's someone we still have high hopes for, and we want to do well. I think if you look across at Abbas Miski at Wigan, the way I think he was out on loan at one point at London at the start of last season and came and scored 20 odd tries. I think we've just got to get settled backline. I don't think it helped. We obviously last season with the amount of injury problems we had across the centres and the chopping and changing between Harrell, Hopewati, Mark Percival. I could almost see, and we'll get onto it in a later episode, John Bennison spelling Tommy Makinson at times during the year to give Tommy a bit of a breather, and hopefully keeping T. Ritson flying down that wing and scoring plenty of tries. I don't think there's much more to say, is there?
No, I like your comparison to Abbas Miski. We're not expecting him to go and necessarily hit the heights that Abbas did last year for Wigan, but if he got half as many tries, all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, hang on a minute, this lad can do it, and hopefully he does. Hopefully he does.
First game against London Broncos. Mark it down now. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back for the next player preview tomorrow morning. Catch you soon.